quick plugs before we get this video underway. First off, it is Friday the 13th. I hope none of you end up running into a 7 feet tall, invincible man in a hockey mask wielding a machete, because that would not be a great thing. Secondly, today is the release date of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. This is the very first Call of Duty I've bought on day one since 2015 when Black Ops 3 was released. I've bought Black Ops 1, 2, 3, and then Cold War all on release date. My PSN is LegoRocks99 for any of you who want to go over there, add me. But if you add me on PSN, please make sure to leave a message saying that you're actually a fan. I don't accept friend requests from people who don't leave messages. So I am getting back into the Call of Duty side of things, and yes, there are a ton of videos on this YouTube channel about Call of Duty, so you can check that in the past if you want to see if I'm good or not. But today we're talking about probably one of the juiciest topics we have had in weeks. It's been weeks, guys. We have been in the off-season. There's been nothing cool to talk about aside from prospect updates and, when the NHL is going to start. But let's go over Nikita Scherbak, shall we? Because the last time we spoke about Nikita Scherbak on this YouTube channel, it wasn't in a very positive light. The last video we made about Scherbak was back in June of 2019, talking about the comments that he made with a Russian interview, where he said some pretty questionable things, talking about how he felt the LA Kings farm team gave up on him, where he felt that there was a bias against Russian players in Montreal. He had this whole spiel that he went off of that was just kind of dissing the last two NHL franchises that he was with. And as a result, Montreal fans, LA fans, but, mostly Montreal fans, because I'll say this here, Habs fans are pretty crazy. I think anybody can agree. Everybody was flaming this guy. Everybody was like, yo, what in the world? Why would you say something like that? My gosh, I can't believe the Habs used a first-round pick on this guy. But now it is a year and a half later, and we have this article from TVA Sports that is an exclusive interview with Nikita Scherbak that goes over his time in Montreal. The headline reads this: I messed up, and it's all my fault. So today we're talking about Nikita Scherbak and how he admits that he was at fault and how he regrets how he handled his time in Montreal, his comments to the media about Montreal, because I think for all the Scherbak haters out there, because I know because of his comments a year ago, there definitely are some. Let's go over and actually take a look at what he has to say here, because the article, it goes over the entire Nikita Scherbak situation. He has incredible skills and an unparalleled sense of hockey. He has a lot of flair, and we project that he will be able to play one of the first two lines. He has a lot of talent, a lot of character, and a good personality. He plays a North American style. This is what Trevor Timmons said after the Canadiens selected Nikita Scherbak, 26th overall to 2014 NHL Entry Draft. But after that, we kind of know the story. After he was drafted, he spent some time with the Ice Caps. He spent some time with the Montreal Canadiens. He was good with the Ice Caps. He was good with Laval, but this guy couldn't put it together in the NHL. Eventually, he was put onto waivers, the LA Kings claimed him, they played him in the Ontario Reign system, and then he yeeted off to Russia, where in 2019-20 he suited up for a total of 31 games with the Omsk and Tractor Chelyabinsk, and he got 11 points, not great, but let's continue with what exactly it is the article goes over, because Nikita Scherbak then has an exclusive interview with TVA Sports, and as a result, there are so many quotes here, it's just a whole bunch of text, so we're going to pick and choose the more juicy ones. First off, the interview goes over how exactly Scherbak felt when he was drafted by Montreal. He was completely in shock. He didn't expect to be drafted in the first round at all. He didn't believe it, which is why he was so happy. He says that the Canadiens did not tell him what their expectations were of him, but they drafted him for a reason. He was a skilled hockey player who could bring a good dose of talent to the team, and that is what the Canadiens believed at the time. The next part of the article goes over things quite well. I had my chance, the section is labeled. Transparent, Nikita Scherbak admits to having often thought about the reasons which led to him leaving the Canadiens. Does he think he had a real chance to show himself off? Absolutely, I had my chance. People were hoping to see more from me, and you know what? Me too. I haven't been consistent enough to dislodge anyone in the lineup. I would really like to go back and change the way I approach this chapter of my life, but I cannot. I don't want to hide and blame someone else. I messed up, and it doesn't concern anyone other than me. I should have given more. Of course, all the fans in Montreal would have liked me to become a David Pastrnak, but there are so many factors to consider when considering a career. Okay, before we go forward with this, let's just pause up right there. Nikita Scherbak is indeed a player whom a lot of Canadiens fans remember had so much talent. Take a look at this. This is the scouting report back from February of 2014 by Brendan Ross on Dobber Prospects. This is before Scherbak was even drafted. Another player who has launched himself into the first round consideration territory is Saskatoon Blades import winger Nikita Scherbak, the WHL's leading rookie scorer by a large margin. He leads the Blades as well as posting well over a point per game, making a flawless transition into the North American junior hockey circuit. An intelligent player who's shown to be very coachable, Scherbak's game is featured around strong skating, creative vision, and a willingness to engage physically in puck battles at both ends of the rink. He's learning quickly, and his big steps in development are exactly what teams covet. That's why back in his draft year, he ended up getting 78 points in 65 games. That was amazing. If you go down over to the projections, ISS had him at 27, McKeen's had him at 16, Future Considerations had him at 34, and he eventually went 26 to the Habs. Now, we know 2014 was a long time ago, but in this context, we do need to look at it from 2014 lenses because this guy was looking to have all the qualities to create a very nice, let's just say, ceiling prime David Pastrnak kind of player. Not a David Pastrnak like a 100-point 40-goal guy, but in his best season, he plays like Pastrnak. He probably gets 60, 70 points. He is a very good point producer, and that's what people thought. But there were so many issues with consistency, engagement, and just having Nikita Scherbak as a player who was willing to develop within the Canadian system with the way they wanted him to develop. You can see it. There was no real improvement with his NHL numbers. He went from 1 goal in 3 games to 6 points in 26 games, which is, I guess it's an improvement, but it's not anything to absolutely boggle your eyes over. And then, he was really good in Laval, and he was eventually put on waivers, which is the entire reason he went to LA in the first place, but it was the comments afterwards, the words that he said in the media that really turned away Habs fans from this player afterwards. Here's what he had to say about the comments he made back in 2019. This interview came back to haunt me a lot, to be honest. I think my words were exaggerated to some extent. Yes, there are some things that have been said. I don't want to hide it. But I spoke under the influence of emotion, and I also regret several of my comments. Today, as I speak to you, I absolutely want to tell you that I still place the Canadiens at the top of the most prestigious teams in the NHL, and by far. Players and families are treated extremely well. He then talks about his relationship with Marc Bergevin. He says, "We always got along well. I've always been honest with him, and I believe he always was with me. I was treated well by Marc Bergevin from the first to the last day. Being a part of this team has been a real honor." Then the article goes over how he was feeling pretty good after he went over to LA because he was playing nice. He played a good first game, but then he was sent to the AHL. He was mentally exhausted, and then he made the decision to leave for the KHL because he got a good offer. And then the rest is history. Wait, no, it's not, because he wasn't actually all too great in the KHL in general. So even though I know that's a lot to digest, there still is a little bit more. He is a dad now, which is awesome to see. He is in the best shape of his life, according to him, and he is currently in contact with various teams in the NHL, and discussions are well underway, so we'll see if he comes back to the NHL. But for the Habs fan watching this video, I want you to tell me, does his change of heart 1 year later change your own opinion of what Nikita Scherbak was as a player? I know a lot of people back when he made those comments were swayed by those comments, and they thought of him in a much worse light because of those comments. So, does this interview with TVA Sports in November of 2020 change your opinions? Or are you still going to harp on Nikita Scherbak, talk about how he wasn't really all that motivated to play all too well, and even though he admits that he regrets his decisions on the ice, off the ice in the interviews, and his overall attitude towards the situation. How do you feel now? Because I know Nikita Scherbak definitely did have some fans, and a lot of fans were heartbroken because he never panned out to what people thought he could be. But I want you to talk to me in the comments what do you think about Nikita Scherbak and this interview. I'll leave a link in the description to the interview itself, so you can go ahead and check that out if you please. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.